All right, we're going to model this spray can. It's very easy to do and make it look something like this. You can put anything you want for a label. This was inspired by some health spray from the Resident Evil game, and then I decided, yeah, we should just do this as a typical spray can. All right, so this is the reference image that I'll provide for you. If you just check the link in the description, you can download that. I just brought it in. I pressed S3 to scale it 3 times. I moved it back on the Y-axis a little bit and just adjusted it so that my 3D cursor was right in the middle of that hole. So let's get started with this. I'm going to press Shift A, Mesh, UV Sphere, and I'm going to choose values of 16 and 10. You can do whatever you want really for that. That's what I'm going to go for. It's supposed to be a 10. Okay, there we go. I'm going to go into edit mode and wireframe and scale it down. And what I want to do is move that down, is I want to do this top part here. So I'm going to, first of all, box select and delete those vertices. In fact, I'm probably going to go up to that one, but I'm just not sure yet. So I'm going to, let's grab this vertex and delete that, and also these ones. So I'll be left with that. I'm going to scale this in the Z to squash it down, and then pull it up and scale it a bit. And what I'm going for is to try to get this part roughly the right width. And I think I'm going to get rid of those vertices and take the whole thing and scale it in the Z a little bit more, just to get it to fit. So it's like right in there. Now I'll put a subdivision on that later. Okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll do the top. So Shift Alt and click that whole edge, and you mess around with it still if you want. You can scale it in a bit. Doesn't really matter. All right, so I'm going to press E to extrude, and I'm going to pull up. And you can't really see very well. I'm doing this part here. All right, and then it's going to come in and go down, and there's going to be a flat surface there. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to go back into solid view. So I've got that. I'm going to press E and S and come in, give it some thickness like that. Let's say, yeah, I don't want it to go all the way to here because there's a flat region in there. So let's just continue here. Let's press E and bring it down. It doesn't have to come down to any particular level. You come down as far as you want. And then I'm going to press E and S, and I'm just going to come in like that. And the top part with the nozzle is going to fit over that. So, I mean, there would be a hole in there anyhow and some other stuff. But, okay, so we'll leave that there. Let's come back to this. Shift Alt and click there. And what we're going to do is we're going to make this part. So we're going to, first of all, I'm going to E to extrude, and I'm going to pull down. Let's see how far I want to pull down. I'll do that. And then instead of just coming right up, I'm going to press E and S and come out a bit. And then I'm going to come up. And it will fix up this in a bit. Okay, like that. Okay, good. Now I'm going to press E and S and come out to the edge, E and come down. So that was a little bit weird, but this is what I've created. I mean, I could have come straight up, but I wanted a flat region there. It'll just be a little nicer. And I might decide, I press 3 for face selection, to Shift Alt and click there. I might scale Shift Z and just make it a little bit wider, because when I bevel that. All right, let's go ahead and do that. 2 for edge selection, Shift Alt and click this edge and this edge. I want to round this pretty much. I think I want to round. Do I want to round it pretty much? Nah. Let's just do that. So I'm going to press Control B to bevel. I'm going to hold Shift and I'm going to pull. And you'll see they'll start to cross over like that. So I'm going to press C for clamping, and then they'll hit. And then I'm going to roll my mouse up maybe 2 more times like that. But because they hit, they haven't quite merged. So I'm going to select it all and M, merge by distance, and it got rid of some vertices. So I'm going to have that there. Now, let's come up to the top. And actually, before we do that, let's put on the cavity shader. It'll be a little bit easier to see stuff. I'm going to do a similar thing up here, I think. I pressed C before, so I can just go Control B, and they'll hit. And I can scroll back or up. I'm just going to leave it like that. So bevel that. Let's just check that out. Control 2, shade smooth, and this is what we have so far. Let's come in here and drag an edge loop up here to define this a little bit better. Let's come here and drag that out to define that a little bit better. And we actually have a little bit of a sharp point there that I'm not liking. Let's shut that off for a moment and have a look at this. And I think what I want to do, merge by distance. And see, I forgot my own rule. And this is what we have. It's up to you to decide if you like it that round. If you don't, you could always get rid of, an edge loop here and there, and do something like that. But that looks pretty nice to me, I think, unless we wanted to bring one more edge down there and sharpen that up ever so slightly. It's not really a problem. All right, so we're going to do the rest of this body, but I'm going to take this edge here, Shift Alt and click, and bring it in, E and S, and just bring it in like that so it doesn't just end. And then I'll bevel this with 3. And so there's 2, 3. It's a little bit wider, so it's not too sharp. Something like that is probably okay. And we can create the rest of this just taking a circle from here, something that I do all the time. So grab that, Shift D to duplicate, pull it down, P to break it out. Let's turn off the subdivision for now and come in here, press 1 for vertex selection so you can see it a little bit better. Scale it in like that. I'm going to pull that under, and I'm going to press E to extrude, come down to here. All right, E and S, come out, E, come down, and you can just end it like that, but I'm going to go E and S and come under so that I can bevel this, and there'll be a little bit of a round edge at the bottom. So we'll grab those, Control B with 3. I'll just bring in edge loops to do the rest. Let's turn that back on, and you'll see that it's kind of bending out. So we're going to put some edge loops on here. Control R, drag one down near the bottom, and that should clear that up. Sometimes you'll need more than one edge on a long thing like that. Let's set this up so that we can do our label. And the way we'll do that is we'll come in here. I'm going to shut that off for now, and you can see where my label is going to be. So I'm going to drag an edge loop up to here, say I want my label there and there, and that is good enough. You don't have to give it thickness. I think I'm not, but what I'm going to be doing is taking these faces later and putting some kind of image on the can. I'll turn that back on for now, and let's go ahead and do the top of this. Just remember to save once in a while. It's always a good idea. We can continue to use circles from this. So 2 for edge selection, Shift Alt and click. That's just an easy one to grab. It's not the right size, but we'll go with it. Shift D to duplicate and pull it up. You can scale it out to the correct diameter there. And I will break it out. P to break it out. And I'm going to shut off the subdivision for now. And I'm going to press E to extrude, and I'm going to come down to here. E and S, pull out. E, and just pull down a ways. All right, and that should sit right on this flat area in here. All right, I'm going to bevel. Shift Alt and click that edge. Control B, pull, something like this. I'm going to bevel here. Control B and pull, same 3. And I want to close off the top, and the way I'll do it is 2 for edge selection. I'm going to select this edge and the opposite edge, which is that edge, and F to make a face. Then I'm going to select this edge and just press F, 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 F until it gets to the end. And that's a try there, but that should be not a problem. F, F, F on the other side. All right. So to make it bend in, I'm going to, in face selection, press C for paint select and select there. And I'm going to pull those down, but I'm going to turn on proportional editing first and start pulling. And it's pulling everything, so I'm going to roll my mouse up to make the circle of influence smaller, and just make it small enough, maybe even around the size of the cap itself or the nozzle or whatever. And I'm going to do that. And then it's a little bit flat in the middle, so I'm going to grab just this edge here, and I'm going to pull down a bit more, maybe less circle of influence, just to make a sort of a slope. And of course we'll put the subdivision on, and it'll do that, so we're not ready for that. So we'll come back to here, and now I'm going to bring an edge loop up near the top to help it maintain its shape. We can check that. It's looking a little bit better. And just before I turn that off again, I'm going to, in C, face selection and circle select, paint select, sorry. I'm going to grab those. Then I'm going to press I to inset and just pull it in. So now it's like I have a supporting edge here and below it, and then I've got the main edge. And so if I do this, and then you just have to decide how sharp you want that. If it's looking too sharp, you can take this edge and you can just pull it down a little bit. I have to turn that off though. And it'll be a little bit less sharp. Or you can pull this one in a little bit. All right. So now we are going to do the hole in the middle. So turn that off for the moment. Control R to drag an edge loop right up to around the middle there, and then let's make it straight. So SZ0, so flatten it in the Z, and just put right roughly in the middle. And I can bevel that, I suppose, to make another 2 roll back, so you have 2 of them like that, and then a third one. What I want is 4 squares there. Okay, everything should still be okay. Everything's okay. All right. Looking from the front, 1 for vertex selection. I'm going to select that vertex and bring my 3D cursor there. Shift S, cursor selected. So I want to make this into a circle, and there are 8 vertices. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in another circle to trace over with 8 vertices. So Shift A, while I'm in edit mode of this, Shift A, not a plane, sorry. Shift A, circle, and I'm going to choose 8 vertices, scale it down. I'm going to rotate X90, and I don't need the subdivision on it right now or on anything. And I just want to get a size that I like, or you can look at the diagram, whatever, it's not really a big deal. So I've got a circle in there, all right, and it's just flat, but this is curved. So what I'm going to do is, looking from the front, I'm going to trace over this. I'm going to press K for the knife tool and select this point, or hover my mouse over that point. I'm going to start there, and I'm going to click, and I'm going to click on that point. And it should snap to that line, and then it's sort of free, so you don't have to be too accurate. Snap to that line. It's free, so just click, snap to there. It's free. Click, and back to the beginning, and spacebar. We're done. All right. The circle we brought in that is flat, we can delete X vertices. And we now have this. I'm going to join these vertices. So select that one, and press J. And it'll cut right through the mesh. That one, J. These ones are already connected. This one and this one, J. Those are connected, or should be. That one and that one, J. 3 for face selection, and now see, I can delete these, or I can press I to inset, give it a little bit of a support, that. And that's going to work, but I want to make this look a little bit more like a circle, so I'm going to press 1 for vertex, and I'm going to select that point, and I'm going to press GG for edge slide, and this point will slide on the edge. And just bring it out so it looks like a circle, GG. Like that. Do the same on these, and don't worry, it's not going to come straight out. Don't just pull it in the X. Do GG, and it'll follow the curve of your cylinder. GG, like that, and this one. All right, if we go back, I guess I have to add my modifier again. I'll go Control 2. We should have a relatively nice hole, but we're going to give it some depth. So Shift Alt and click that edge, and now we'll just E and pull it in. Something like that. I'm going to close it up, actually. I'm going to press E and S, and then F to make a face. And then you can drag an edge loop up if you want it a little bit sharper. And I'm going to put some colors on, but we now have that. All right, just don't want it open. I think it'll look better with some black on it. So that is our basic model. Hopefully that hole is the right size. You can go in here and scale it a little bit if you select, and then Control plus, Control plus, Control plus, Control plus till you get to there, and you can scale it in a little bit if you want a different size hole. All right, so looking good. Any other details you want to put on, you are welcome to do that. But why don't we put some very basic materials? Let's get rid of that and save and take this whole baby and bring it up here. You know, just above the X there. All right, I think that looks pretty good. And we'll go into the shading tab, and this is going to be really straightforward, okay? So let's look. Where's the front? There it is. So what I'm going to do on this, on the cap part, I'm going to come to my materials. I'm going to click new. You can name this. I'll just call it cap. I don't know what it's really called. And either here or here you can adjust. I'm just going to give this a slightly yellowish color, and I'm going to decrease the roughness to get it a little bit shiny, but not too shiny. And that's going to be that, except I'm going to come in here and select that middle, maybe Control plus one more. Come over to the materials again. We already got the cap, but it's the same mesh, so I need to add another material. Click new, and I'm just going to call this whole. And I'm going to make this dark or black. Don't forget to click assign. And for the roughness, put it all the way up, because this is supposed to be just like darkness. And that's what I have. Whether or not you like that, but that's often done. Okay, let's move on. This is going to be metal, so let's create a new material and just call it metal. And choose a base color. I want a little tinge of blue in there, like that. And I'm going to put the metallic all the way up. Give it a second. I'm going to have that. I'll bring the roughness down a little bit. All right, we're going to have that. And then we'll put a little bit of noise on there just to give it sort of a gritty kind of a look. So down here in the shader editor section there, the node section, we're going to add texture noise. And I'm going to have to bring the scale up. We'll start with 250. Detail, it's up to you. I'll bring it up to 16. I'm not going to change the roughness or the distortion. And I will put that into a color ramp. I think I will. It gives you a bit more control. So bring the color down to there and the color into the base color. Let it do its thing. And there we go. We've got some noise in there. You can add it to bump. So if you can play with this, it'll change the color of your metal a little bit. And yeah, it looks fine. Don't forget to come over here, and depending on whether you're going to render this or take a screenshot, or you can do it in Eevee, I'm just going to turn on ambient occlusion. You can see some darkness coming in, and depending on what you like, I often will bring this up to 1, and I'll often bring this up to 2. That might be too much for you, but it's up to you. And then of course you can change the noise if you want. Maybe I'll just leave that at 1, and maybe I'll leave this at 0.75. I'm going to turn on bloom and screen space reflections. I usually put on that. We'll just leave it at that, and then we're going to put that same material on here. All right. Now, this is a larger object, and so you might want to change the scale of the noise. Let me just see how this is going to look if I do a Control T. Bring in a texture coordinate and mapping node, and let's see if we switch this to object, will we get a better result? I don't know. I seem to think it looks a little bit better. I could have done nothing. I'm going to change the scale up to 300, and I might just leave it at that. Okay, can's looking great so far. Very simple. You change the color of that if you want. Change the color of the metal. All right, so now we need to do the decal on it, the label. So what I'm going to do is, I've got these dividers here. I'm going to, let's go to UV editing actually. Okay, with my subdivision off for the moment, I'm going to Shift Alt and click this edge, and Shift Alt and click that edge, and I'm going to mark seam there. Mark seam. And Control 1 to look from the back. I'm going to just select there. Control E, mark seam. So we're going to unwrap this, but I think I will only need to really unwrap this section that I want to put the label on. And so I'm going to need a material for that that's different from the rest of the metal body. So I'm going to add a plus, new, I'm going to call this label, and assign. So that's going to be there. If I select the metal now and select, it'll be just that part. And if I select the label and select, it'll be just that part. All right, so I could just select that. And we're going to unwrap. You unwrap. And I get this straight thing. But my label is not going to go this way. I'm going to rotate. I'm going to rotate 90. And I'm going to press G to drag this in. And if I'm doing this by eye, I might want to scale it down just a little bit just to make sure that it's not coming out of the UV space. It wouldn't matter that much in this particular case. Let's turn this to there. So you can see I've got this white on there. Things will be a little different when I put the subdivision. It sort of shrinks down. So let's deal with that in a moment. So let's come over to the shading tab. Make sure that we are on the label material. There it is, label. And there's our principles, BSDF. And we're going to get a label on here. And so I'm going to take this and I'm going to go Control T. And that's going to give me an image, texture node, and the other stuff. And you'll note that the texture coordinate comes out of UV because we want this UV'd. All right, so I'm going to find a label. All right, this one here. This is a JPEG. It's just black and white. It's just a JPEG. So I'm going to open that, and we have something showing on our can. So let's go back to UV editing, scroll out a little bit, and make sure we can see this here. So the first thing is it's upside down. So I'm going to select all my UVs, A to select it all, rotate 180. So now it's right side up, and I'm going to press S to scale and scale it like this uniformly. It's coming out like that. So now I've got it on there, but it's repeating around, and we don't want that. It's probably looking weird because of the seam too. So let's go back to shading. There it is. And I'm going to put this on extend, and I'll get just the white extending to the back and my label on the front. Let's have a look at it over here. Okay, so I'm going to turn on the subdivision again. That'll smooth out the label, but it's sort of shrunk. So what I'm going to do here is simply Control R to add an edge loop, Control B just with 2 to go up and down, and just pull it until I've got to the spot that I like. Looks good there, and I have my label on there. And you know, it's flush with the canister. I understand that, but I still think it looks okay. The only other thing I might do is in the materials, if I make sure I'm on the label, adjust some of this. I'm going to drop the roughness on this. Sometimes I'll come to clear coat and go 0.2 or 3, and just to shine it up a little bit, depending on where the light is and how it hits it. I mean, it is a label, and that's pretty much it. I'm not sure if I want that color, if I want to maybe make that more of a, make sure we're on the cap there, maybe more of a whitish color. And it's all very similarly colored. And then I just try this with different HDRIs, and then you can just close that off. Let me get rid of my screencast keys so they're not in the way. And you can control spacebar. And if you think it looks okay, you know, just take a screenshot of that. Or of course you can render the viewport and see how that turns out for you. And then just, you know, try with different HDRIs and see which one gives you a nice result if you like it. And yeah, you could take this and make this a new collection like C1, Can 1. All right, and then Shift A, collection instance, C1, and I might take this one and rotate Z90 or something if you want another view, and Shift D. And I mean, by doing this, I'm not increasing my poly count by using instances. So if you wanted a box of these in your scene, you know, not that, although I should have done that to check. What am I doing? Shut that off. I want to look at the statistics. Okay. If I get rid of this one, it doesn't change. If I take this and just duplicate it and duplicate it and duplicate it, you know, I'm staying at the same poly count. So if you wanted a box of them, you can. And you can still take these and rotate them independently because you don't want them all exactly the same. And you can even scale them. Rotate Z like this, you know, that kind of thing. And then because if they are instances, if you do make a change to this one, let's say if you wanted this wider or something, and you went, let's just see the way the other ones are selected, Alt S or something, if you needed that done, or I don't know why, it would affect all of them, and you haven't increased your poly count. All right, the only thing you can't do is unless you make this instance real, you can't change the color of the cap or whatever. But if I change this one, and it's affecting everything. I don't know why you would do that. Let's make it maybe a bit more of a gold kind of color. You know, if you do that, it'll affect all of them. All right. So there we go. There's your spray can. Thanks for watching.